I'll do.
Value engineering has a really bad reputation, right? People look at value engineering and they kind of, I mean, I used to work in an MEP consultancy, and that was always
Uh-huh.
the big frustration
Yeah,
at
sure.
the end of the project, the client value engineer what you've been working on for ages. And I get it, right? I mean, if you've been working on doing a detailed engineering design for a building, and then someone turns around 5 or 6 months later or 2 years later and says, I don't want it, right? That's annoying, right? And I think that's just the nature of consulting, unfortunately, is that you're never the person that makes the final decision in any case. But it is, it's also important, right? Because well, a lot of what the industry has been talking about for a while now is not doing technology for technology's sake. And I think value engineering is the methodology for avoiding that, right? If you have a bunch of organizations now that are going to buy a huge amount of tech. I mean, I think the classic example are the tenant apps. But buying tenant apps, and off the back of that, they are realizing that maybe they're not seeing the value, or that the customer or the tenant has brought their own app into the space. They're not using it. None of those landlords will buy a tenant app again, because they now think it's not right for them in that situation, and it's always going to get value engineered out. That's not necessarily accurate, right? There are still great use cases for tenant apps. There's still things that they can do, but perhaps because we were too keen, coming back to that hockey stick growth, to push this, what might have not been the right solution or the good solution for the customer into the market, there's now an adversity to that. And they're saying, well, do we really need it? Is it that important? And as we've been talking about retrofits, that's obviously even more pronounced in that kind of environment, right? I mean, the basic use cases in an office building, for example, like desk booking, that's not for the building owner to provide, right? It's for the customer to bring in. Yeah, I was working on projects nearly 10 years ago where everyone was providing desk booking apps to their to their tenants. So it's just been a little bit of thinning out, I think, and that will continue. And value engineering, in my mind, is actually a useful mechanic to make that happen, to stop people from spending money on things that they don't need, and then off the back of that, hopefully lead to a net better outcome for everyone involved in that product or that kind of solution cycle.